Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams and we're back with another one of our 24/7 news report videos. As always, we start with the headline news, and the headline news this evening isn't going to be much of a shock to anybody. It is that Frank Lampard is set to find out his Everton fate within the next 24 hours. Fad Mejiri has held talks with the board over Lampard's future, with consideration understood to have been given to potential replacements. So basically, the headline is he's on the brink. That's come from Matt Law of the Daily Telegraph. Matt Law and John Percy of the Telegraph also went on to add Frank Lampard could be given the opportunity to make more of a case for more time, but there's not a feeling of optimism about his position from those around the club. And then TalkSport said Frank Lampard held crunch talks with Fad Mejiri today. It's understood the board are deliberating whether to change manager is needed and assessing possible candidates. And then Sky Sports News added Everton are reviewing the poor performance of the club and taking steps to bring an immediate improvement. Whether that's clearly a manager, and that and transfers are the only immediate things they could do. As much as people are wanting it, sacking the board is an immediate improvement. Immediate is the manager, and bringing in players during this window, they're truly immediate. So yeah, it just is that Lampard's on the brink. I mean, I've made my opinions known from the very start. I don't think he was ever good enough. He's a nice enough fella, but that's not a reason to get a good job like this. Well, not even a good job. It's a horrible job. It's a tough job. But being a nice fella doesn't mean you should be manager of Everton Football Club. I know plenty, and I don't think I'd trust any of them with looking after a cat, never mind a football club, and 20 odd plus squad of players. I always thought he was a bit out of his depth, though, as well. I will say this: he does seem like a nice enough fella. I think he was out of his depth. I've just said that this job, I let it slip good. It is good in terms of its Premier League, and it probably pays well, but it's not good in terms of it's not the easiest Premier League gig you'll ever get. It's a tough job. It ages you years. Look at Frank Lampard; he's only been here a year, and he looks like he's aged about 10. It did it the same with Koeman. It did the same with Marco Silva. I think the only manager that went with us that actually looked healthier was Carlo Ancelotti. Everyone else just ages horribly. It's a tough job, but I don't think he's good enough, and I don't think giving him extra time he's not gonna get better in 2 weeks. He had a 6 week holiday with the lads in Australia and didn't get better, and we probably should have sacked him then. He's not going to get better with another game or two. All you're doing is wasting time. And the next couple of games are really tough anyway. I'd be surprised if he gets anything out of them. If we can't beat the likes of Southampton, then we're not going to get anything out the next two. So I think he's about to hit the. I personally would fire him, but it looks like he is about to hit the chopping board. We have got the latest Sky odds bet on the next Everton manager. I'll read them out with their odds, and then we've done some polls which you have voted on. I won't speak about all the people on this. I'll speak about the two highest voted by the fans and the second highest. So on this list, there is Sean Dyche at 5-4, David Moyes at 7-2, Nuno Espirito Santo at 7-1, Wayne Rooney also at 7-1, Bielsa at 8-1, Sam Allardyce at 10-1, Duncan Ferguson at 12-1. Ange Postecoglou at 16-1, Lee Carsley at 16-1, Baines at 20-1, Pochettino at 20-1, Graham Potter at 22-1, Chris Wilder at 25-1, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at 25-1. There are some obvious ones that you definitely don't want, and there are some that just aren't happening. And yeah. So first of all, there's 4 from each for the first poll, then there's 4 from the next. I'm just going to mention the one that's not on here that's quite popular because we only go up to 16-1. I don't think Leighton Baines should get the job. As much as it sentiment would rule head there, and that's part of the problem at this club. Pochettino, Graham Potter, Chris Wilder, Gunnar Solskjaer, I just don't think happens. They're not on this list. Neither is Lee Carsley. Which is a bit more, I mean, he's got a little bit more experience, but again, you could argue that might be sentiment ruling your head. So in the first poll, it was between the top 4, so it's Sean Dyche, David Moyes, Nuno Espirito Santo, and Wayne Rooney. It's open for another 21 hours, but so far 3,084 of you have voted. 53.1% have said Sean Dyche. 16.7% said David Moyes. 8.4% said Nuno. And 21.8% said Wayne Rooney. So I'll talk through the two big ones. I might mention Moyes a little bit because Moyes said some nice things about us in the presser. Said he didn't get any calls this time, but he has been close in the past, and he probably will get another touting out this time. So we'll go from the least favourite in. So David Moyes. I don't mind David Moyes as much as people would think. I think the problem he's so low voted is people are like, we've been there, done that. I would rather David Moyes over Wayne Rooney in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. This man's an experienced football manager, and we know what he can do at Everton. In my lifetime, is the most successful Everton manager in my lifetime, which is absolutely depressing as he won nothing. But he got us high finishes, sixth, seventh in the league at times, fourth. You know, he got us to some good, I don't want to say good times, but some cup finals as well. Which that is the most successful manager in my lifetime, which is depressing. Some of you might have been there for Howard Kendall, and a couple of other managers so you'll be there going, he's not the most successful. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he's the most successful in my lifetime. And his Everton squad was what I grew up watching, and I loved. It was hardworking players. I watched the CEO Diaries with Moyes, and he loves a hardworking character over everything else. He judges the characters and stuff in the team. Then we have Wayne Rooney. Listen, if you're going to get rid of Frank, replacing him with somebody with less managerial experience than him is just wrong. I know Rooney, his kids wear pajamas and that, but nah, I think Wayne Rooney is exactly the same problem as Frank Lampard, a novice getting a job that's too hard for a novice. You need somebody with a bit of been around the block a little bit, like a David Moyes, been aged, been worn in a bit like the top running candidate, which is Sean Dyche. Been around the block, looks tough in the face, looks like he could handle. Well, no, he could handle being the underdog, as he proved with Burnley. Listen, some people won't like it. Some people might not think it's the pretty option or the best option, but it's like in terms of when we got money and ambition, but he's probably the most realistic and best option we have available for us now. I actually think he does a good job with us. We can't all get Pep. You know what I mean? So the next poll was between Bielsa, Allardyce, Ferguson, and Postecoglou. 3,847 of you have voted in this one. So Marcel Bielsa got 21%. Sam Allardyce got 49.9%. 11.7% for Duncan Ferguson and 17.4% for Ange Postecoglou. Interesting. I thought Postecoglou would be a lot higher up than this. He's not though, so I won't really get much into it. He plays nice football, but I don't know if it resonates with Everton very well in the squad we currently got. Mad that Bielsa's above him though, because watching what Bielsa did with Leeds, if you think he gets any sort of tune out of these lot, you are seriously mistaken. His football towards the end of his Leeds run was one of the most open football teams I've ever watched. I think that's suicide. I think if we get Bielsa, we go down in a blaze of glory, but we definitely go down. We 100% go down. It will just be a blaze, and we will have good moments and maybe one or two good wins, but ultimately we get picked apart. Sam Allardyce is very close to Sean Dyche. I'd rather Dyche. Allardyce, though, I think he's getting highly. I'm surprised he's getting highly voted. I don't hear many Everton fans speak fondly of his time here. I think it's a bit of, is it revisionism? People were doing it with Silva the other day. I think that's a bit Allardyce. He did do really well, but the football wasn't pretty. But I guess that's what you need, actually. I think that's gone in his favour, and the fact that he's notorious for getting teams out of trouble, and we're in trouble. I don't think he comes, by the way, unless we offer him big money, because he's already had the job and then been knocked to the curb for Silva. So the ego on him, I think he'll say, I'll come, but you've got to be giving me some big money there. We also have that Fad Majiri is believed to be open to selling Everton. That's come via the Mirror. That's not a shock. I think he's been touting this out for the last 2 years since the Russia sanctions have happened. I think since Usmanov and that, I think he's been looking to get rid. More power to him. I hope he does sell. I think he is one of the biggest problems at Everton with a couple of other people. I think he, though, is the sole big problem at Everton. I don't think he knows how to run a football club. And I think he's made some awful decisions. And I think he lets far too much influence from outside affect him, which is what we lead on to now. The Mirror also said that people within the club believe that football super agent Kia Shubashan holds too much power when Mashiri is concerned, leading to questionable transfer decisions. This is why Mashiri shouldn't own a football club. You're ill experienced. You've not hired the right people to help you, or you have, and you don't listen to them, and you're letting a super agent talk you. And super agents, I don't care if it's Kia, Georgia Mendes, these are the super agents of football now. I don't care who they are, what they say to you, who their clients are. Football agents are only interested in themselves. Whenever you hear anybody talk about football agents, like I said, David Moyes was on the CEO Diaries and he said they hold loads of more power. He went, whether you agree with it or not, they hold way more power than you'd ever think. They're only in it for themselves. They take hefty cuts. They will send players to teams. They know it won't work out if the agent fee's brilliant, or if they think that it works out for them and the player, but not always the player, more themselves. But they'll send a player to a club where they know it might work out for the player, aka he'll earn a lot of money off them, but it will absolutely ruin the team. They don't care about the team. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about the football club. They care about the money and lining their pockets and lining their clients' pockets. And the fact that Mashiri thinks this fella has got Everton's interests at heart and not his own pockets is mad. It's bizarre. Letting people like him breathe their way into football clubs is how they end up dying. It's a horrible, horrible infection to allow super agents to have inputs in football clubs like that at the top. They infect the clubs, they infect the minds of the decision makers, and it just goes downhill from there. We also have the Everton have an interest in taking Chelsea winger Hakim Ziyech on loan. Other clubs are also interested. This has come from Sami Mokbel from the Daily Mail. I assume this is because Chelsea have just brought every winger they can. Modiku from PSV as well. They've got a lot of wingers, a lot of pacey wingers. We ran a poll. Would you take Ziyech at Everton? What 2,769 here have voted. It's open for another 19 hours. 89.3% have said yeah. 5.6% have said I don't know, including myself, and 5.1% have said no. People are going to be wondering why I've said I don't know. It's because when I voted on this, and at the time, which is now, we don't know who the manager is. I mean, I don't know how well he played for Lampard at Chelsea, but we don't know who the manager is. I don't want Ziyech if he's not going to be the next manager's cup of tea. He's a fantastic footballer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not judging his ability. If it says, "Do you think Ziyech is a great footballer?" I'd be yeah. But it's does he fit Everton? Does he fit the new manager? Would he work? Would he work? He's not fast. He's very creative. He cuts in. He's like a James Rodriguez. So I guess, yeah, because I said the other day we need somebody who can unlock a pass. And watching him at the World Cup, he was fantastic at that. But it's if he suits the next style of play coming in, because if he doesn't, then we're just going to cause more trouble. That's the only reason I said no. I don't know. Sorry. If it was, do you think he's a fantastic footballer? Obviously. Would I have him if I thought the manager would suit his style of play in a heartbeat? He's a fantastic footballer. But that's why I put I don't know in case people start getting angry. We also finally have that Everton are understood to be considering offers for Anthony Gordon. The Blues managed to keep hold of him during the summer, despite interest from fellow clubs, but now said to be taking a different approach. A number of Premier League rivals have made inquiries about Gordon, according to 90 Minutes. After his contract talks at Everton stalled. Newcastle are along the long-term admirers, but Aston Villa, Leicester, and Nottingham Forest are also interested. Contract stalled. I don't think that's. I don't know, but don't assume that that's him. I know he's fell out of favour recently with fans, but don't assume that's on Anthony Gordon because Jordan Pickford's have stalled, and it looks like Jordan Pickford potentially is also going to go at some point, maybe in the summer, and he was going to get offered a new contract, and that's stalled because of the board. So don't think that's down to Gordon. things changing. We might need the money more, or they've just been watching Gordon week in and week out and thought, nah, let's get rid, cash in while we can. I'm happy to sell him. I don't think he's, you know, a good price is well worth. I think for a good price, definitely. But yeah, just before everyone jumps on about contract saying his head's gone and all that, that might not be hit. You know, be fair, that might not be him that is stalled. It might be the board. But I do think his time in Everton is probably up. I don't think he's progressing as well as we'd all hope. That is all we've got time for, though. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on anything. And I'll probably see you very, very soon, as it sounds like a managerial change at Everton is upon us, as goes the annual 18 months stint that they get. So I'll see you guys very soon.